Good morning and welcome to krcims.com. I want to show you some of my welding equipment and supplies that I have in my shop, and the whole thing over my shop is basically to show that even a small space you can be quite creative and fit a lot of stuff in there. I have a variety of interests, and one of them is welding. Here's one of them that I have. I have a wire feed welder that I converted to a MIG welder, and basically what it does is it shoots a gas through the hose while I'm welding and blows the smoke out of the work area so you can see for better welding techniques. But this is a cart that I set up. I just bought this from Harbor Freight, cut a hole in it, and then filled the tank up, and had to buy a conversion kit for this wire feed welder. And then in here you can see I've got a variety of different types of clamps and stuff that I use in putting together my projects. Okay, here is some other basic welding stuff that you need to have. You know, a welder's hammer. You always want a clean surface. So I've got the different types of brushes. This is a metal marking pen, and while I'm welding I actually use this particular, it's an auto darkening helmet that I use. And these goggles here I use for my oxyacetylene. This stuff came with the wire feed welder before I set it up to a MIG, so I don't hardly ever use it anymore. I don't really have a need for it. Some basic clamps. C-clamps, you just cannot have enough C-clamps. I use those mostly in the MIG welding and the acetylene welding. The plastic ones I'll use on my plasma cutting when necessary, because it's a much more defined area of heat, so you don't have to worry about melting these as much as you do in here. The MIG will produce quite a bit of heat. This is my plasma cutter, and one of the things about the plasma cutter is you got to have a nice clean air supply source, so I do have an air dryer filter in there. I've got it set up for 110 right now for the type of metals that I use. It's pretty thin, and I went with the Miller Spectrum 375. It was a pretty good affordable unit. Well, that's what I could afford at the time. So this is basically set up right next to that other welder that I can slide in and out. On top of that I have my vinyl cutter, so I'm pretty well versed in this area of making things work for me here. Now when I do my plasma cutting, you got to have a place for all the sparks to go, so I contained it. What I did was put a 55-gallon drum underneath here, and then cut a hole out in a big table that I've got there, and I can actually put my parts up there, cut underneath, and all the sparks will fly underneath there, and it kind of helps prevent fire hazards and stuff. Of course I keep a fire extinguisher nearby. Then when I'm not doing any plasma cutting or welding or anything like that, I just put this plate over the top of it, throw a little bit of rubberized grip material. I think you put it in the bottom of your drawers as well, and I'm back to here. I'm doing glasswork if I need to. So that's basically it, and thanks for watching.